I'd like to share a couple of things that God has done for me. Some of it in the past, but leading up to currently. These are miracles. It's not things that just normally happen. So in 2017, I was working on a farmhouse. I'd remodeled the house. I had finished up laying flooring in the bathroom, and I put the toilet in the bathtub. And it was a very heavy toilet. It's a 4-bolt toilet, which is old toilet, super heavy, big. And I did everything wrong. I had 1 foot in the tub and 1 foot out. I bent over to pick it up, and then as I picked it up, it's super heavy. So I stayed bent over as I rotated the toilet over the tub to put it on the floor. And when I did that, I felt my disc being crushed, and it dropped me to the ground. I didn't break the toilet. I had to crawl out of the bathroom. There was nobody there to help me, and I crawled outside because there was no phone reception in the house where I was working. And I called for my wife and son to come pick me up. And I wound up going to a chiropractor in a wheelchair. I couldn't walk. And he did x-rays and checked everything out. And he compared x-rays from when I first went to him a few years before. And it was obvious in the x-rays. Some x-rays will show this and some don't, but you could actually see the outline of the disc, and you could see the huge bulge where the disc was crushed and bulging out in my lumbar. And he wanted to know if there was, any numbness or pain shooting down my legs, or if I was having any bowel issues or urine issues, incontinence. I was not having any of that trouble, so he said he would try to work on me a little bit, and then he told me to come back in 2 days. And so I came back in 2 days, and when I came back, now, mind you, during this time, a lot of people were praying, and God was hearing and answering. And so I came back 2 days later on crutches. I could maneuver on crutches. And so he worked on me again, and he said, now, after the weekend, you're going to come back. You're coming back on Monday. We've got to keep working. And so when I came back on Monday, I was walking without the help of crutches or cane. And he worked on me again. And he told me after that day, he knew that God had touched me and God had helped. And he told me when I got done with that treatment that day, he said, you're released to go back to work. I do construction work. And he said, you do as much as you can feel like that you can do. But other than that, no restrictions. That was 2017, and I haven't had a lot of problems with that since then until 2023, spring of last year. I was working around my yard, my tractor, and cutting down trees, and I put up a 48-foot flagpole, and I re-injured my lumbar and really struggled, kind of worked through it, kept going, and then later in the year, it kept getting worse, and I did a tile job, removed tile and subflooring and joist, and dug out underneath the house and put all that back in. And by the time I got done with that, the next day I couldn't walk at all. And this went on. It just progressively got worse. So I wound up getting an MRI, which they said I had severe stenosis in one of my vertebrae. There was mild in another one, moderate in another one. So 3 in a row, it went from mild to moderate to severe stenosis. So I got an appointment to go to KU Med, to a surgeon. And the doctor there, or the PA, looked at the MRI and said, "Oh, there's no stenosis, nothing. It's nothing we can do." And I said, "Well, I don't want you to try to do something that you don't think you can do, obviously. So no surgery." But my problem persisted, and I had physical therapy. The doctor said physical therapy will never help your situation, and in some cases, it'll make it worse, which is exactly what happened. By the time physical therapy was over, I was in a lot more pain. I had less movement. I was on 3 times as much medication. Just struggled. Finally, I did get to have a epidural, and the epidural really helped me a lot. But you know how medical insurance is. When I needed the second epidural 3, 4 months later, they said, well, first of all, you got to have physical therapy before you can have the epidural. And my doctor said, this makes no sense. This just makes you worse. We wound up switching medication or medical insurance. Yesterday, I went down to Oklahoma Brain and Spine in Tulsa. Dr. Harwell looked at the MRI, and he said, yes. He said, you have stenosis. But he wanted to know which leg I was having problems with, because he said, I can know how to do the surgery by which leg is causing you problems. And I told him, there's no pain in my legs. I don't have pain shooting down my legs. I don't have numbness. I don't have tingleness. They're not going to sleep. And he said, well, where's your problem? And I said, it's across the back, right in my lumbar area, but it goes across the back, and the pain gets so severe, sometimes all I can do is shuffle. And he said, well, looking at your MRI, it should be. I was just trying to figure out which leg it is, so I knew what to do. He goes, you don't require surgery, not for your problem. He said, if you're not having this problem in your legs, he said, you need ablation surgery. And basically, it's similar to the epidural, where they put in injection. In the epidural, they put an injection in your spine or around the spine, and it deadens the nerves in that area. But ablation is they stick a needle in there and they superheat the needle and kill the nerves in that area. And it's because the nerves that are coming through around your vertebrae coming out are being pinched. And he said, that will take care of your problem for like 8 months at a time. He said, for at least 8 months, you'll get relief. He said, we may have to redo it, but he said that would help you tremendously. And so I leave there realizing how much God has helped me, and what God has taken me through, that I did not have to have surgery. I didn't have surgery that wasn't necessary. And the other thing that he said, I told him about my hernia, and he goes, well, how did you know? And I explained the whole thing to him. He goes, that hernia is completely gone. He said, there is no bulging of your disc. That has healed. And this is not small stuff, especially if you've been through this or if you're facing back surgery. It's not small stuff. And I just want to thank God publicly for what he has done for me, what he is doing for me. I'm not out of the woods yet. I haven't had the ablation surgery yet, but I can see God's hand. I have felt God's hand, and I know that God is working. And I want to encourage people out there that God is still in the business of helping us, and trust him. He doesn't heal all the time. If that was the case, it wouldn't be miracles, because miracles are special things that God does that's unusual. It's not the normal healing process when God takes over. But he is working, and he has helped me. I've went through a lot of pain. I went through a lot of suffering, and I went through months that I didn't feel, God moving on me. But I know that he's there. I know that he's helped me through all this. He's helped me with my finances through 8 months of not working. I'm self-employed, so I have no benefits, no workman's comp, no time off for injuries, sick pay, no vacation pay, nothing like that. And my wife is unable to work. So God has provided and helped us through all of that, those difficult times. Still difficult, but God has been there, and I want to share that with you and tell you that God is interested in you and in your case as much as He is in my case. God bless.